Good people of YouTube, I'm the Watch It, and Thursday was a very surprising day because pretty much out of nowhere I see a new Tudor come out, and not only a new Tudor, but a new Pelagos, and not only a Pelagos, but a new FXD, and not only an FXD, but a new FXD chronograph version as well. And not only that chronograph, but both are made out of carbon composite. I mean, that's right, Tudor just released the new Tudor Pelagos FXD and FXD chronograph Alinghi Red Bull Racing Edition. So in this video, I'm gonna go into the details of the two brand new Carbon Pelagos FXDs, which still sounds so bizarre to say out loud. Also, I'll answer two questions through the lens of an original Pelagos 42 owner over here. So first question, is this new release still a Pelagos? And second is, am I gonna be getting one? So yeah, there are many things to consider when answering these questions, and the answers are very multifaceted. So yeah, let's just get into it right now. So first off, we have the FXD chronograph, which just alone would have been huge news, but we also have a supposedly quote regular FXD as well, both with a new carbon composite case, which for me is unbelievably exciting because I am such a big fan of unique materials in watches in general. So yeah, in that way, I am really excited to see what else Tudor's gonna do with this carbon composite material that they have. Hopefully goes into other watches. So into the specs, the chronograph has the MT5813 movement, which is found in the Black Bay chronograph, and then the normal FXD has the great MT5612 movement that's found in pretty much all, I'm pretty sure every Tudor time-only watch, and yeah, I am very happy about that. And in terms of dimensions, the normal FXD will have the same dimensions as the Marine Nationale FXD, 42 millimeters at the bezel and 12.75 millimeters thick. But the surprising thing is that the chronograph comes in at 13.7 millimeters versus the equivalent Black Bay version at 14.4 millimeters. And I'm guessing right now that most of that will be from having a flat crystal versus the dome crystal on the Black Bay. But you know, whatever it is, I'm so happy that it is down, and if it is because of the crystal, it'll just reinforce my love for flat crystals over dome crystals. And now on to the similarities, and they both have that brand new carbon FXD case, which means that they both have fixed, you know, hence the FXD lugs, but it's not all carbon though. The case back is steel like on all Pelagos models, and the bezel is titanium, I suppose, like all Pelagos models as well. So three different materials going on over here, which is interesting. Next up, both watches have the same color combo on the dial, which is a very dark navy blue with red accents, and the lume is stark white, as it should be for a watch like this. And yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of this case and dial color combo, and I'll explain more on that later, but in the end I do get that this was a collaboration with the Alinghi Red Bull Racing team, so they had to incorporate navy blue and red. And all things considered, I think it's pretty well integrated on the dial, you know, just on the chapter ring, which isn't that visible. And yeah, no other references to either thing on the dial, thankfully. But as far as collaborations go in general, I think that this is a good one. Red Bull is such an enormous part of the sports world, and especially with the more extreme sports world and racing. And for these endeavors, they need to push for technological advancements. And yeah, Tudor teaming up with them to make a carbon case Pelagos, which is Tudor's most forward-looking watch, makes a lot of sense to me. Oh, and the price is really surprising. And yeah, the time-only one is cheaper than the original titanium FXD, which was a shock on top of all the other big shocks, because I was expecting this, oh, exotic case material, you know, special edition watch to cost more than the relatively more standard titanium FXD, or at least similar to it. But no, it costs $36.75 versus $4,100 for the titanium FXD, which is a pretty chunky difference. And it actually costs $200 less than my Black Bay 54. And then the chronograph version costs $5,075, which is $50 less than the Black Bay chronograph on the strap. So yeah, as far as value goes, it's pretty up there for both, for that matter. So is it a Pelagos? And this is an interesting question because it's a question that might be getting less and less relevant in a way as more and more Pelagos models are being released. But beyond that, I also think that the definition of Pelagos is changing. The Pelagos was the titanium ultra tool dive watch of Tudor, and it still is, but it was also just the modern tool dive watch of Tudor, the one that's just pushing the boundaries. And titanium isn't really pushing the boundaries, all things considered, I know, but for a conservative brand, having a titanium watch with the best diver's extension and micro adjustment clasp that I've ever used, and also a fully luned bezel, was a lot. Basically, in short, the Pelagos was always looking forward and not back like the Black Bay line. So is this new Carbon FXD a Pelagos? Well, it depends. If you think the Pelagos was and is Tudor's titanium dive watch, then the answer is very much no, because it's not titanium. But if you think the Pelagos was and still is Tudor's forward-looking tool watch made of specialized materials for specialized uses, then the answer is yes. And as an original Pelagos owner, at the start when the FXD and the 39mm versions came out, it felt weird because the Pelagos was such a specific and unique watch in the landscape and also within Tudor. But times are changing, and I'm glad to see Tudor putting effort into the Pelagos line, although there are still quite a few things that I want Tudor to do to the Pelagos, which I hope they're gonna do next because it's about time. So for me, I actually think that this new Carbon FXD is a Pelagos because of my second definition. It's a special tool watch made of special material for a specialized use. And despite there now being a chronograph, it's easy to see how these watches, chronograph included, pushes the boundaries for Tudor and how they can be a tool for the type of racing that they were built for. But if someone asked me, hey, I love all the Pelagos, Pelagosi, I don't know, never mind. Hey, I love all the Pelagos models so much, but I want the ultimate Pelagos. Which one should I get? I am still gonna say get the original 42mm Pelagos in the black dial or the blue dial and the LHD. So yeah, final question, will I get this Pelagos considering how big a fan I am of the line and of new materials in general? But the answer is no. And there are a few different reasons why. First reason is that I don't have the money to buy one right now. So yeah, that's one reason. But actually, even if I did have the money, I wouldn't buy it. Like if this came out with the Black Bay 54 a few months ago, I still would have chosen the Black Bay 54 over this. And a big reason for that is that I'm just not a big fan of the color combo and the color scheme. For me, black cases need to have a black dial, but in very certain situations, a white dial can work pretty well. Like the Doxa Sub 300 Carbon White Pearl, that thing just looks mega, and oh man, it is so tempting. If both these FXDs had a black dial, then I would be going through the mental math of which watch I should sell to try to get one, because it's just so cool and so unique. So I hope in the future they do make a variant with a carbon case and a black dial. But instead we have a navy blue dial, which in and of itself looks fantastic, especially with that pop of red. But together with the black case, it just doesn't work for me. And I still don't like it when the dial is lighter than the bezel slash case in this case, although there are some exceptions. So for me, this pretty much just has everything going against it. Oh, and if that wasn't enough, to add on to the whole color variation thing, the bezel grip is titanium, so that adds, in effect, a third color. So basically each of the main elements of the watch is a different color. I mean, it's just adding just a lot of visual busyness. Of course, we can't just base our opinions off of the press photos, because press photos almost always look completely different compared to what the watch looks like in real life, and Tudor press photos are almost always just awful in terms of relaying what it really looks like. So thankfully, Fratello was able to show live pictures of the watch, and I must say that the situation has improved with the dial being much darker in real life. So when it's nearly black in some photos, it looks incredible, but it's also clear that the navy blueness of the dial is apparent. So it's gonna be a no from me, at least until I get to see one in person, because in the end, the final judgment on a watch simply cannot be made until you physically see the watch on your wrist. So there you have it. Let me know down in the comments what you think about this release, because I'm sure this release, like all other releases, will be polarizing. And if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button and subscribe button and all the good buttons. And until the next video, good day.